Today's session is mainly focused on fundraising. We have invited some outstanding and relevant external speakers to discuss this important topic. Susan Masila, our Africa Region Manager, Global Development and Government Relations, will be leading this session. And some of you may remember one of our guests joining us today, Gustavo Arellano, who is the head of commercial development, FIBA, who conducted a fundraising workshop at our previous in-person leadership conference held in Johannesburg, South Africa. During today's session, we will also be joined by Safaricom, one of the most successful telecommunication companies in East Africa, currently expanding to other parts of Africa, to speak to us from a donor perspective. We will then be joined by Special Olympics South Africa to share best practice on this subject. The program has done an outstanding job in raising funds, program funds over the past few years, and it will help us to learn how they made it possible. So I would like to thank you, and please join me in welcoming Susan Masila, who will take the lead today. Susan.
Thank you, Charles. Good day, everybody. Once again, welcome to today's session. Our session today is a continuation of the conversation that we started in our leadership conference last year, still trying to explore ways to diversify our revenue streams, even as we walk through the pandemic and its aftermath. Please note that all the presentations for today and the resources will be shared with you through the dashboard. With this in mind, brace yourself for an insightful yet exciting session from our panelists. As Charles mentioned, our two panelists are external partners and friends, and also will be joined by Ansel at the end of, as we go towards the end of the session. The three speakers have been gracious enough to share their time and expertise with us, and I hope we can sponge in as much as possible from them and also ask as many questions as possible. Please note that we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of every speaker. Kindly use the Q&A icon to submit your questions, and for the athlete leaders, please raise your hand and use the raise hand icon, and our host will unmute you to ask your question. And now it's my honor and pleasure to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Gustavo, who is a long time friend of the Africa region. Over to you, Gustavo.
Thank you, Susan. And just to demonstrate that I'm checking the chat, I can see that people are saying happy birthday. So happy birthday, Susan. Thank you very much for the introduction. And it's a pleasure to be again here with the similar audience that we had back in 2019 to speak about income generation. So back on those days, what I presented was a frame of steps on how to build a marketing program. And there is a picture where I received this amazing vest that I wear with a lot of pride after learning a lot from your programs and very nice sessions we had back in 2019. And in the next slide, you can see that we had the opportunity to review these few steps on what it was our proposal and what it is currently our proposal for national federations in the basketball world to develop their sponsorship program. At that time, we gave a series of tools to follow, from marketing plan, brand identity, building your structure, and selling. Today, we want to be more direct. We have less time. Doing it online will be it's challenging in order to make it more interactive, but the concept and the core is the same. So the first invitation is to review the material that we shared back in 2019, and now we want to go straight and share how the information that we had the opportunity to share at that time have been impacting the world of basketball and the world of sports, because everything that we share at that time have been shared with other federations as well, and we have seen very good results worldwide. So to start, let's dive into income generation. What we want to talk about again is the idea of marketing, in this case for a program. Sorry that I left the federation word there. Stages of a sponsorship strategy, and the public sector investment, which is very good. All among all the three, after this 45 minutes, we hope that you have a better idea on how to approach income generation for your program. So the first message, it is something that we discussed back in 19, and I need to repeat it, that marketing is not a budget, marketing is not a department, marketing has to be a mindset, okay? For everyone in this call who has a leadership role in your country with Special Olympics, you have a responsibility in order to develop commercial opportunities. And for that, sometimes you have a team to do it, sometimes you have resources to do it, but sometimes, many times don't. And it's not only the case for Special Olympics, it's also the case for many, many organizations in the world that need to create an internal mindset in order to look on how to commercialize all the important assets, because the mission of Special Olympics and every activity that Special Olympics is doing is valuable for external partners. And to find that value, to explode that value, and to link that value with the market, it is our role from all the positions that we have in the people in this group. So what we're gonna consider for income generation, if we go to the next slide, we will review what are the opportunities that we have around income generation, how relevant is to know your fans, in this case, your community, how to start a very simple audit inventory, and some tips on how to build your inventory, the sponsorship architecture, and some tools. No? But before to continue, I would like to launch, technically, please, Romy, help me, how to launch the poll, because I would like to hear from, or to read, sorry, from, no, that this is not the poll. I think this will be, then will be in the chat. Let's kill this one. It is, let's think, and please type in the chat, what are the opportunities that you have considered to create income generation? What are the initiatives that you had in your program to produce income generation? Any idea is good. Anything that you have done in the past to receive funding is good. And I would like to read what is the few things that you have top in mind. So if you can type in the chat, what are those ideas, or those, maybe you haven't done it, but you have an idea around how to receive some sponsorship opportunities or some funding from public sector, I would like to read. We're still congratulating Susan in the chat, but if someone can write greetings from Tanzania, any idea? Have any of you explore ideas around creating an opportunity for income generation? How have you raised money in your program, or you have an idea to do it? Sponsor walk, okay? So I guess it will be a run or a walk sponsored by a company, and then inviting the community to walk. That's a good one. Using events as opportunity for sponsors to promote themselves. Yes, that's a very good one. And this is a big vertical on events that it is normally linked to visibility for companies, greeting to corporate asking for funding. Okay, we will explore that idea on how to ask for this funding for these corporates. Okay, I think with this we have a good idea of how we can continue. The next slide, please, Romy. So here we have a base idea on how we can face the challenge of income generation. So connecting to events, we can sell tickets, we can sell food and beverage ourselves or to create a concession. We can do raffles, we can create hospitality. Hospitality will mean exclusive access to certain people that will have an investment because they will have access or better view or better benefits because of their tickets being a bit more expensive. Sponsorship, everything that could be connected to visibility in shirts, in billboards, or anything that can be related to a brand. And this is, I would say, the very traditional approach for a sponsorship. But now there are a lot of possibilities to connect that brand with your community, because at the end, and we will see that in the following comments, is that at the end, these corporates, as you call it, these companies, will look for how to connect with your community, how to connect with your fans, the people who comes to your events, the family of your athletes, the people who follow the activities that Special Olympics are doing in every program. So we have events, as was mentioned in the chat. We have CSR, and we will have a conversation specific about CSR. But we also have the idea on how to generate revenue with the fans. Can we create a membership club? Can we create a season ticket because we have a league? We have a football league, we have a basketball league, and we can create a season ticket for people to contribute actively with the activity. Can we sell merchandise? Sometimes it's not even from our, we don't need to produce the merchandise, but we could do a partnership and try to make sure that everyone has the uniform of the national team of your country before going to participate in the World Games. Gift and licensing, this is again a base set of ideas for you to explore around what we could do to generate funding from different activities connected to what we do. In this case, creating this platform for kids and for people overall to do sports. Now I see some creative ideas like inclusive fitness for a national roadshow company. Great. This is a very specific activation. And of course, it could work very well if the company needs to connect this idea of fitness with the population. Now, if we move to the next one, understanding your fans, and in this case, understanding your community, it is very important. And in maybe 5 years ago, it is very challenging to receive or to build some data around your community, but these days is way easier. We can have an average of people that comes to our event. Those numbers are very relevant, and I'm sure you can keep track of them and to show trends that every year you're having more and more people, social media followers, and you can have initiative to build that followership and connect it with a potential partner. Broadcast view, this maybe is the more challenging one if your product is on TV or not, but nowadays, if it's not on TV, it can be in other platforms, and it's easier to get the number of views there. Age and location, it's very interesting to understand what type of public, what type of family, what is the demographics of the people coming to your event, and you don't need to have it signed by a specialized company, only with your team checking what type of people is coming to your event could create a direct link to a potential partner. If for our events it's full of kids, for certain type of brands will be more open to invest in Special Olympics rather than if all what we have in our events are parents. If everybody coming are parents, then the approach of course is totally different. Then we go on more detail. I would like to have an idea of gender balance, which in my opinion, I've been in Special Olympic events, regional, national, and international. I had the opportunity to be in different levels, and I believe gender, it's always very balanced. And there is a very specific profile that could be developed to create a link with a potential brand. Finally, when we speak about contact details, benchmark versus other clubs or programs, it is now I think I would say a different level of understanding, but it is very simple to create a base of information, which is very much needed when you're going to face a potential partner. Finally, fan surveys now through social media is very easy to connect and to understand what your community wants. Then it's okay, Robin, it's okay. We can go to the next one. An inventory of what we can sell. Okay, this circle I share with the group in 2007, in 2019 haven't changed much, and this is just an idea on how you can build your inventory. What are the things that you can check on how you can create a link with a brand? If I have an insurance company, do I need to share a story of a successful player who won a medal in the World Games, or it's a story that we have from few players, from few brothers that are doing sport at a certain level, or not from the sporting event, but maybe for their life story, and the insurance company would like to explode that story, that it's a link, and it will be connected to events, the players, and the pictures or the story that you can develop. If you go on the branding side, which is the typical first approach that we can give to our partners, it is, I would say, the first step to offer visibility around the events. But now the invitation, and this is something that we have spoken for a long time, is always create a conversation with your partner. It's important for you to understand what you can sell, what you have available, if it's tickets, if it's social media, if it's your players, if it's events. You need to be very clear on what is available, if it's an annual event, if it's a monthly event, if it's a gala, a dinner. All of those things are considered assets, and this is a starting point. It's a homework that we need to do before starting to creating this conversation with potential partners. Next one, please, Romy. So what we can sell, and this is sorry that the letters were taking second lines. What we can sell, this is a summary of the previous slide. We can sell things connected to the game day, we can sell assets on social media, we can sell digital video content, events, activation, we can sell title sponsorship. Title sponsorship will be that the partner will be the only one assigning the MVP of a tournament, or they will designate who was the family who did the more, who was outstanding doing activities during a weekend, player endorsement, designation, everything connected to visibility. All of those ideas needs to come from your inventory and from what you can offer to a partner. So next time that someone comes and asks you in the chat, what are the ideas that you have for fundraising, the ideal situation will be that you can drop all of these comments connected to game day, connected to social media, connected to your events, connected to designations, connected to specific activities like the ones that you mentioned in the chat. All of those are very important and needs to be top of your mind. Those needs to be very clear for you, and this is a very important step to clarify. Then major question is, when I have a category and I want to offer a sponsor that will be on my shirt, then first question is how I can set a price. If for me to put the logo in those shirts will cost X, what will be the price of that valuation? There is a rule or a reference that can always help, that normally the idea is that the partnership is valued at least 10 times the cost of the investment. Meaning that if we're placing the logo in the shirt costs you $1,000, a reference could be that that sponsorship should cost at least $10,000. It doesn't mean that that you cannot charge 20 or 30. It's always possible, but this rule helps to set up a good reference when you don't have an idea. If you have sold before an asset, or you have seen that this company have invested in sports in other range, and they have done with a bit of more, they have invested more money, or they have done it in different order of magnitude. Of course, you can offer assets to match what that company is selling. But again, it is a rule, or it is a suggestion that once you define how much it will cost you to deliver those rights, in this case, those assets or those commitments to the sponsor, you can multiply by 10, and that is already a good start. Then, of course, you check with the market, and you check with your, how much money actually do you need for your event, and then you can make some adjustments. Okay, so this is just a reference. On sponsorship architecture, I won't spend much time. The idea is that you can create a healthy competition among partners, and you can differentiate what you have. Sorry. You can differentiate a title sponsorship, a platinum, gold, silver. You can use any type of name for categories. The idea is that people on the or company, sorry, investing on the title level, they will do it at a higher, they will do a higher investment, platinum a bit less. And the idea is that you understand the value of and the difference in the value between a shirt sponsorship, a billboard on the side of a court, or the sticker in a place, or the name of the event, like it was presented in the previous comments. There. Sorry if the slides are blurred for the person who did it. Mentioned from Zimbabwe, Lillian. Sorry, maybe it's the connection, but you will receive the file and they're not blurring the file. Okay. So now we go for the sponsorship tools, and I would like to hear from you, or to read from you, who have done, maybe this one have the, I don't have the presentations, Lillian, sorry. I could be, sorry, this is Susan responding, sorry. And regarding the sponsorship tools, this is a very practical exercise, and I would like to hear from you which program have done a sales presentation. Who from you has a sales presentation? Sorry if we have the poll for this, Rom, I think. Who have done a sales presentation? Just to understand how useful could be these next two slides. So we can here, while everybody votes, here you can see a group of titles, okay, on more or less what we believe a sales presentation should have. So let's give 10 more seconds to the group to reply if you have done a sales presentation or not. I cannot see the answers here, but I guess you need to help me to share when we have answers. Okay, so what you see in your okay, no, so 72% haven't done a sales presentation. So hopefully this slide will be very useful for you, because here we outline in no particular order what are the sections that a sales presentation should have. And our recommendation, our suggestion to all our federations, and I will take the license to give this recommendation to all the programs, is that you can prepare a sales presentation, which is very simple. You just need to order all the information that you have around, and this is a tool that you can use to show how clear and how professional you can connect with a potential sponsor that would like to link with the activities of Special Olympics. So what you see here is a group of, I would say, sections from welcome page, describe the opportunity of Special Olympics, the game day highlights. This could be a video of how the stories that you would like to share, the vision. In this case, sorry, I kept the information from basketball. This would be our vision for Special Olympics, how it related to the sponsor, because it is different that we speak to insurance company, or we speak to a mobile company, or we speak to a company on construction, or an oil company. All these companies will have a different need to connect with Special Olympics. So with all of those, the invitation is that you think what is the best order and how we can create the best story, the best flow to convince and to present professional information to an organization to invest with us. So if you will go to the next slide, this is our recommendation, and this is how we believe you could present an opportunity for a potential partner, starting with a welcome page, describing the opportunity, having some highlights, very small videos, nothing more than 20 seconds, our vision for the sport, in this case, for Special Olympics, any numbers that could give a context of how many people are we impacting, any content case study, meaning everything, every story that you were able to share, or any information that you believe it's relevant to make sure that they understand the magnitude of the activities that you are doing. Because I saw yesterday the amount of people involved in Special Olympic Africa have grown. I saw the events were a bit less due to the pandemic, but your family, your community is very big, and you have a lot of data that you need to show for them to understand that you have an idea of what your community can offer to Special Olympics, and that is what the sponsor wants. The sponsor wants your community. And then again, you can continue on how it is this broadcast your events. If it's broadcast, if it's not, there's not a problem. And then finally on how to demonstrate that why a sponsor will be valuable for you. So this is like I would say a suggestion if you believe that you will need to put a rights offering at the beginning, and if you don't have other sponsors, you will kill the slide of our sponsor. All is possible. This is a suggestion on what we have shared with basketball federations all around the world in order for them to create a link and go to meet with potential partners, with potential donors, with potential sponsors, waiting, looking for not only to show what Special Olympics doing, in our case with basketball federations are doing, but also to listen what they want. Because this tool, and I always have said this for our federation, is this tool is not a tool to speak. It's not only a tool to show. It is a tool to listen. It is a tool to present, to hear what the partner is looking for and how you can come back with a proposal. Because maybe they're looking to impact on the youth development of the country. Maybe they're looking to have to connect and use your good reputation for their CSR projects. Their objectives are very different and from company to company, and the idea is that we can connect their objectives with what we can deliver. And I think this is a task that requires structure and requires proper tools, and this is a good start for it. Now, as an added value for this, a little gift that we prepare because I had a colleague that helped me on this. It is we transform the marketing and communications plan that we share with all federations around the world. So this is what you will receive. It is the template for all basketball federations that we have shared this information that they have received, and they have done a marketing plan. So there you will have templates on how to do a SWOT, how to analyze, how to set up objective, in which order, what goes first, what goes last, and all adapted for you. It's a document of, if I remember correctly, 12 pages, again, in a template mode for you to fill the information. It is, in our experience, that process could last a week, depending on if you have all the information and how committed you are, or you can have, or you can do it in 3 months, because you can think how the plan will be properly implemented. So it's up to you. So it's a special gift from I would say, the basketball community to Special Olympics. Take good use of it, distribute it in your team. This is a very good guide for you to create your plan and to start on how to do a proper plan to generate income generation. So here you can do a lot of nice things with this plan, I'm very sure. So now, with that, if we move to private sector and we think only on companies that their business is to generate money, how to talk to them, we need to understand what they want from us. So when they want from us, and if we go to the next slide, we can see some data that we have received back in 2017. This is a bit outdated, but it gives us a reference on what a sponsor is looking for. Some of them are looking to entertain clients. So they have distributors and they want to invite them to a nice experience because they have the access that nobody has in an event. They want to generate leads. They want to continue selling more. If it's a soft drink company, probably for them will be very important that if they are sponsorship with sponsoring Special Olympics, they are selling more of those soft drinks. They will like experiential activation. Maybe if you have a leadership colleague that is formed. I know there is an excellent leadership program among Special Olympic athletes, and you can take that athlete and take it to do a speech into the company, adds a lot of value for that company. You can offer that. Social responsibility, maybe the company needs to invest in projects that are connected to sports, and you can offer that platform not only to sport, but also what means the community of Special Olympics, which is not only sports. Social media presence, they would like to connect with what you are doing on social media if you are doing, and I think some others for new companies create awareness for them to share with the world that they exist, and in some other cases increase brand loyalty. If a company, and this is I'm very sure, and we can ask Toyota about it, if a company is linked to Special Olympics, people will remember better that brand rather than if they are not. And this is something that you need to use in your favor. The world knows Special Olympics, and companies should pay to be linked to you. And this is something that needs to be embraced as a concept. Okay. So if we move to the next one, what sponsors want? They want your funds. In this case, I always like to use the word community for Special Olympics because again, I've been there, and the level of connection and the level of involvement of the people in the events, it's unique. It's not only people who's going to cheer for a winner, it's people that is there to spend the whole day from seeing games, but also interacting with people. And I think this is very, very valuable. Exclusive digital content. Now the digital presence is very important. The frequency, it is very important to understand if we're going to have one event at the year or if we have a league, and the approach is very, very different. Unique events, if we know that this company needs to talk to their employees in a regular way, we can provide leadership inside information, or we can provide how we work, because they would like to know how we have strengthened our brand, and they would like to understand how Special Olympics is so well recognized around the world, and how this community, this platform is so action oriented. You can speak about it because all of you are working in a platform that is action oriented and is producing change. All organizations will like to be linked to the change that you are producing in the society. Player endorsement. I know amazing stories that can be generated from your programs that could be associated with a brand. And at the end of the day, for a company's return of investment, if we understand how them associating with us, they can generate more revenue, it will be a win-win situation. Okay, that's why my invitation is always to remove the idea of donation. We have something to give back. Their investment will be returned for association, for more sales, for more people remembering that brand because of their going there. And if you are able to showcase that, they will understand that this relationship is not one time and I will give you money and then I will go back and receive a picture of how the money was invested. No, it is a building relationship that they will be benefited from. And you need to understand that your platform has benefits to offer for companies. And this is how you should embrace and how you should communicate to companies. For the next one, the 5 things to consider when you are looking to generate income in the private sector is your people, meaning that your network is the most important first step. Okay, everybody knows people. You know people. As a leader of your program, you know a lot of people, I'm sure, and those people knows other people, and those connections will be always the first level of information that you can get of how the market can react to Special Olympics. So call a friend of a friend, a former colleague, a family member that is connected to a company. All those connections are the base of opening doors. My suggestion is not to go to, is to avoid to go to Google and look for the number of a company that I like because I want them to sponsor us. It is very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult, and more in these days. But if you have someone who can open the door of that company for you, or you have other companies that maybe it's not the one that you're looking for, but then you need to start with one. Please start with the ones that they have information about you, that they know about you, the job that you're doing with the organization. Then if we go to the next slide, so we have pictures to demonstrate these 5 elements. The first one is your network. The second one is the commercial ambassadors. It is very important to create the link to the people here. Of course, Phelps is not someone that we have available for our programs in Africa, but we have ambassadors. We have ambassadors of stories of people that you have changed, that you have impacted in a way that no organization in the world can do. You need to tell that story, and you need to share that story with that company because they will like to be associated with that story. The wow factor is how we can impress to this company, to this organization through the access they will have to the link, maybe an invitation for the World Games to sit in the same place as the Kembe Mutombo, or all the alternatives that we can draft in order to impress that how we as an organization can give access and can offer a wow effect for a company. Sometimes this is the last point that we can cover because maybe we don't have budget, maybe we don't have the link to the Kembe Mutombo to show off into our meeting. But keep it in mind, because when you are creative and you understand the other side, maybe for some people the wow effect is just to bring a trophy. For other people, just to bring a signed shirt. It is very impressive, and you in your space you will have access to certain things that the company will not have access. So you need to explore those ideas, and you need to understand that this is a long game. Okay, it is not a marketing plan. It's a nice way to focus and create the path on how to look for income generation, but takes time. It's building relationships. It's inviting these people that you believe that can invest in Special Olympics to your events. Maybe not in the first year, maybe not in the second year, but in the third year they will actually invest, because again, it's not a donation, it's not money in exchange of nothing. It's the association with one of the most world recognized organizations in the world, not only in sports. And this is something that you need to understand in order to convey the message that you want. But you need to dedicate time, and you need to understand how valuable it is to have people coming to your events and to understand the change that you're doing. Because I hear yesterday from Mr. Chair Triber, we are an organization, I say we because I feel part of Special Olympics Africa. We are organizations drive by change. We are actually doing change, but we need to show that change. We need to share with the world the change that we're creating, because that is not, there is no match for that in the world at the moment. And I can tell you, being in the market, the impact that you can show on the life of people, it is something that is very, very valuable. And you need to understand it first. Then account management is the last thing to consider when you are going to the private sector. Once you have a sponsor, you need to treat them well. You need to understand what are their objectives. Maybe you sign a contract for visibility, but then you understand that for them it's more important to have tickets, or for them it's more important to have memorabilia. You need to always listen and make questions. And account management is a job of making questions. Sometimes you won't have a team to do account management. You will be the account manager of this sponsor, and you need to always be asking if they are good, if they are looking for the information. Finally, when we move to corporate social responsibility, we understand that there are organizations that they are profitable, and they are corporations, and they have a budget because of the law or because of the state apply them to invest in different causes or things that are connected to the development of the society, and you for sure fit into that criteria. So the angle is a bit different from everything that we spoke before, because in this type of organization, we need to look for different objectives and how to link to them in a different way. And this is what we want to talk to close this conversation. So if you go to the next slide, please, Romy, we go from 28 to 29. If we speak about using sport for good, we need to understand how to engage with this type of organization. If it's a government, if it's national, regional, or local, there is a way to talk to a government, very different from what we spoke before. If it's an aid agency, how and what are the objectives on the investment plan that they have in that program. If it's a civil society organization, how they tackle the programs that you are supporting. All these organizations are looking for the same things that we are looking as well. We are looking for better health, better quality of living and social cohesion. The goal of our programs needs to be linked to a government concern. And there is many ways to link those clearly. In the case of Special Olympics, I've heard that in the latest years, the programs are not focused only on sports, but also they have a lot of investment for education and health. So the government linked with this type of movements, it's more clear, and we are all aligned in looking for the same. So here, there was for the next one, a bit of interaction, but I'm running behind time. So participation in sports. Here we can draft hundreds of elements of why to do sports, and I took the sports focus. You can make this wider. Why it is important for a kid or for a young, or for a family to be connected to Special Olympics, because they could be a role models. They will go and make friends. They will improve their well-being. They will have healthier habits. They will could become a coach, could become part of the sports world, part of the community. They will feel happier. All of this is again a very little base on everything that you can do to strengthen how relevant is to be connected to Special Olympics. And then once we know that, we can compare our structure, our goals, our highlights to what the government or our government is looking to improve in the society. So if we have people that is not healthy, we can contribute to that goal, because we have how many people, we have numbers on how many people have we improved their health. Similar for the rise of having people outside the streets, because we are acting in specific communities. When the Special Olympics is doing an event, they are focusing doing sports instead of doing other activities. This is very well connected with an organization or a non-profit organization is looking to change in the society. So how we can connect those objectives that we are reaching already, that we are already impacting, because this change and all the things that I saw yesterday in the introduction that you are already doing can be connected to this objective. And those, if it's going in that direction, you can for sure ask for funding, because you are doing the job of a government and you are doing the job of a regional government or a local government, because they want the same. The idea, the very important thing is to connect them together. So in partnership with the public sector, we'll have other pillars. So it could be physical well-being, mental well-being, individual development, social and community development, economic development. All of those things will be very, very important for you to understand how you are impacting those in your society, and how the government is benefiting from you, because that technically should be in the government's role. And if you are impacting with them, if you're impacting on these pillars, of course, there will be an opportunity to receive funding. And this is what we have shared in the basketball world, and we have opened doors through how basketball could improve the society, and how public organizations will invest now in basketball, because they understand how good the basketball could do to the society. I'm sure the link and the extrapolation for Special Olympics is even stronger than only one sport like basketball. So it's part in the impact on sports on our society. This is just a few elements that I gave you as an idea to use. I'm sure you cover all of them in your programs. Indirectly or indirectly, you can use them, and the idea is that you know exactly how you are impacting for you to open those doors with the public sector, which needs to be open in the same way as we are discussing with the private sector, through your network, to the people who knows the work that you're doing, and through the people who is actually involved in a direct way with Special Olympics. Finally, social programs that are now more and more, or what we have gathered from different experiences with basketball in the world, Gender equality is still a big issue, social inclusion, health and well-being, people with disability. I think this rings a bell for this group, youth audience, social development, education through sport. All of these that you are seeing here are programs that we have gathered from all around the world, from what federations have told us that they have been involved to support the government in how to link what a federation is doing, in this case a program, with a public entity. And finally, in a public sector, we understand that there are a lot of politics, but if you have a clear strategic plan, if you build that relationship because you invite them to all your events and you demonstrate how you are helping your government or your public organizations to do better job, and how to understand their objective and how to clear the situation, in this case, the relationship, in order to add value to them. In this case, it's not monetary value, it's societal impact value. You will have hopefully a long-term approach, and you will be able to partner with the public sector. Again, it's difficult in 45 minutes to go from A to Z on how to create value for income generation, but I hope that this gives you a lot of ideas on how to start tomorrow to look for the people who surround you and to look to create your sales presentation and to say how we can continuously create value from Special Olympic to other organizations, and that value could be translated into income for us. Okay, so now I think I'm okay with the time, because I was planning for a bit longer conversation, but again, it's a shame that now we have to do it through cameras, but very, very nice to be again connected after 2 years, almost three long years with Special Olympics Africa.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. As you say, with the information you've given us, we'll be ready to start tomorrow, not the day after, because I think what you've given us is a very, very valuable information. And if you look at the chart, you can see it's lit with messages of gratitude for this presentation. I think it comes at the very, very right time, and we all needed to hear this. So without further ado, let me check what we have in the Q&A. The first question, I was able to answer it, but now there's a very interesting question for you, Gustavo. Yvette from Cameroon, our first, the newest kid in the block among our programs. They would want to know how they could use a patron or a sponsor or an ambassador to improve their approach of fundraising.
Okay, normally it is important to understand that ambassador and that story on what it's related to. If it's a superation, if it's education connected, if it's what is the storytelling about the energy or the passion on how that person overcome obstacles, and then connect that with a company who is interested in sharing that type of story. So for example, energy drinks, always about strength, about how important is to go without considering all the obstacles that you have. There is always a link to do that. So my first recommendation in order to use profiles and the stories that you have is to understand those stories and create those links for the companies that will be using. For example, in sports, it's very common to explode beers, because beer, it's a very common category to invest in sport. For Special Olympics, maybe beer is not the one I will start, because in our environment, in our events, beer wouldn't be the first thing that the people will consume. There will be other things that will be connected. So that level of conscious and that level of information that and education that you need to have regarding your objective and the brands that you have connection with, it is very important to assess before doing that first step, before creating that conversation.
Thank you, Gustavo. I think I'll also put across one more question.
Yes.
And thank you for the great presentation. It's very high level. Now, I was just thinking, what would be your peer advice to some of our program leaders who may not have a marketing background or a sponsorship, sports marketing background, what would be your peer advice on where to start? Because I think they may feel overwhelmed, like this is too much information for us. We don't have this type of preparation or training. What would be the practical way to start?
Okay, there are two recommendations. First, the presentation that I shared 2 years ago give a step-by-step process on how to set up your inventory, how to talk to your team, how to create the first ideas that you may have. There we had 1 to 9 steps on how to start. And before the number 9, I remember, was going out and sell. So today we talk more about those tips and about those tricks about going to the market. But in that presentation, you can find the full journey. And now with the template, you can also check what you need to cover internally, everything with your organization before going out to the market. From listing your friends that can open you a door, from understanding everything that you can sell in your program, everything that could be valuable, and that will be a very good start. You don't need to have marketing background. I can tell you from experience, from all the people that have been receiving this information in the basketball world, we had the pleasure to share with a lot of people that were willing to go to the market and listen. And they have telling us how important it's just to start, because at the end, it's a process that the first presentation won't be the best, the second will be better, the third will be better. And when you know, in 1 year, you are an expert selling Special Olympics. And that's the invitation, to start, to talk, and to present Special Olympics as a very valuable platform for organizations.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. I think we'll go to our archives and pull that presentation, the first presentation again, and just share it for the second time, even for those who may have missed it. Allow me to
Susan, we have one more question in the chat box. Unfortunately, it wasn't put in the Q&A.
Gawa, can you read the question?
Yes, it's fine. How do we address accountability in relation to sponsors?
Accountability, I think I don't get it well, because it could be depending on if we believe that the sponsor is accountable for things in our society. If we're going to a tobacco company, are they accountable for the damage they have done, and we are looking for sponsor, or what are the responsibilities that we will have with different sponsors? I think I'm not sure what is the angle of the question. In any case, I think the sponsor responsibility of what they will do within the relationship will depend on the brand, will depend on the team, will depend on the level of investment. So I'm not sure if that's the angle of accountability, but I'm happy to take this question aside to clarify the need of, or the position of the sponsor.
Thank you, Gustavo. And I think those were our questions for you. There was another question from Cameroon about the presentations, and we did assure them that we'll be sharing all these resources with the programs after this training. Thank you once again for a wonderful presentation. We in the region sincerely remain indebted to you. The training, the content you share with us is very, very relevant to our programs and to our mission, and just making sure that we have the correct resources for our athletes. So once again, thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Susan, if I may really quickly, Gustavo, who's our friend, a friend of Special Olympics, when we return to face-to-face, again, we definitely will give you an invitation to come and share, again, and one more time, get this fundraising, which is such a really, really important. And by the way, some of the knowledge that you invested 3 years ago, we've seen some of our programs blossom from that. So thank you. It was not, it was not an investment that has gone to waste. We just want to tell you that next time we'll start measuring the impact that you've made in our region. So thank you very much. And back to you, Susan. Thanks, Gustavo.
Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Always very happy to contribute.
You too, Gustavo. Thank you.